the thing which I took away, and I think Aaron took away as well. He reminded me to have a break from being on my laptop. Is twofold. Is that 20% statistic? I know it's not about statistics today, but it's also, as I say, Richard, it's about the importance of being connected as well. So you talked about the fact that you could be literally. Oh, just bear with me 2 minutes, Richard. I'm just getting some feedback there.
I see we're now live on YouTube, which is
we are.
Hello, YouTube.
I'm just getting some feedback though, so just bear with me 2 moments.
Sure. Perhaps just while you have a little tinker there, Brendan, I'll just pick up on what you were just saying around.
Yeah, please do, Richard.
A 20% reduction in cognitive performance for every hour that you're sat behind a computer screen. Now, obviously, that is an objective statistic. We are all different. We are all unique. Some people can work for hours at a time in a stretch in front of a computer, but for the average person, and it's something for us all to consider, having those little breaks throughout the course of the day are absolutely key. And I think we're gonna look at discussing attitude and our perception here today. Another statistic which is bandied around, most people are aware of it now, but around 20% of us will be suffering from a mental health condition at any one time. And that's a huge statistic, right? And what we know from the evidence that that scientific research brings is that control of your attitude is a fundamental way of being able to reignite ourselves when we just start to languish. And remember from our previous conversations, Brendan, we're always getting bombarded with things in life that can stop us in our tracks, where we can start to languish slightly. We fail at something, or someone says something that really radiates with us, and we start to sit back and go, oh, I don't like this. When we don't deal with those things in the right way, they can manifest in mental disorders such as depression or anxiety. But we have the capacity as humans to choose our response in those moments. So that's what I thought we could discuss today, if that suits you.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. You can still hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
No, I had two things coming into my ears there from YouTube, and also so it was a bit confusing to say the least. I think we're still streaming live on YouTube, not Facebook today, but YouTube. Yeah, let's hit into your topic, which is focused on attitude, because it's so key at the moment.
Yeah, sure. I thought I'd just share a couple of slides with you. Maybe you could just let me know what slide you can currently see.
Choose your attitude.
Yeah, just in one big screen. I've had, because what you get with PowerPoint is they have a presenter view as well. And I think I was guilty at our last interview of actually having the presenter view up so people can see all sorts of different things. It's a bit harder to see. So thank you for just confirming that there. So yeah, choosing your attitude. How do we choose to respond to things that are going on in our lives? What would be the biggest one in your life at the moment, Brendan? What's the biggest aspect, the biggest thing that's contributing to your life that requires you to choose how you respond?
Well, quite significant things, Richard, I was going to say, in terms of attitude and being focused. So I wouldn't say it's just one particular thing, but if you don't choose the direction, someone else is going to choose your direction for you.
Absolutely.
I have to admit, I try to, and it's not easy, because I tried to take time out today, and the time I tried to take time out was the time the phone went off. So I'm doing my best. There's lots of things which I'm picking up from yourself, from Gavin Gallagher, who you heard the other day. I've implemented things. So I know it's about sort of like, I was going to say little ticks, but they do make a difference. So That's why it's so key, because otherwise someone else is going to have a huge influence, and it's got to be you who's got the influence. Starts with yourself, and then your influence goes out. Lots of people want to be influential online. Some people are great on social media. I was listening to someone discussing it the other day, and they were saying, you're talking about networking, and if you can't focus on your own business, then how can you focus on expanding your business as such?
Yeah, completely. And I mean, of course, we've got a lot of distractions at play at the moment as well.
Definitely.
And what are you choosing to focus on? The news and the media are I mean, they always just portray a very negative aspect, it seems. That seems to be what sells papers and seems to get subscribers and viewers onto Sky News and the BBC and so on. But are we choosing to focus on the current environment? Yes, it's important that we know what's going on, but at the same time, is it dominating our thoughts? Is it dominating our thinking? What are our habits like now? Are we looking after ourselves physically? Are we taking a diligent approach to our diet and our nutrition? I know a lot of my friends are reporting that they're drinking a lot more alcohol nowadays, and I think I have been asked for a recommendation on a good breakfast wine over the past few weeks. And then, I mean, what are we?
But you know what to recommend for breakfast, of course, is Brendan's Property Brunch. So that's
absolutely
every
it is
Monday
Brendan.
Morning.
Exactly. So, get a bit of intermittent fasting in. Skip breakfast, go right through to brunch at 10 a.m. with Brendan Quinn on Monday. What is that? The 4th?
4th of May.
4th of May. Gosh, we're already into May. But I mean, we see. I don't know what your WhatsApp is like when your WhatsApp groups that you're a part of, but I'm getting constant streams through where people are investing a lot of time into being quite creative. But is that really impacting their lives in a positive way? What are you choosing to spend your time on? Now, I was working with a client of mine earlier on today. So I mean, I work with majority of my clients are professional athletes and business executives. I do some work in the family office world.
Do you see them differently, Richard?
Do I see them differently?
Yeah. So when I say do you see them differently, do you see them perform differently?
Well, it's an interesting question. We're all human at the end of the day. Very often the primary blockage, which is preventing people from exploiting their potential or fulfilling their potential, those things are quite consistent. Whether you're a member of a family office or a high net worth family, whether you're a business executive or an entrepreneur, or whether you're a professional athlete, there's a lot of similarities. So
possibly one of the big differences though is sleep time. Sleep for professional athletes is really key. I wouldn't say it makes you a professional athlete, but without proper sleep, it's much harder to be a professional athlete. Of course, most people would say it's also harder to be effective in business as well.
Well, I think you've already hit the nail on the head. What's important for a professional athlete is just as important for anyone who's looking for exceptional performance. If you're going to be at the top of your game, is it worth having a full night's sleep? I mean, the science now that's coming out around sleep, and by the way, I highly recommend Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. If you haven't read it, go and get it and read it cover to cover. Because
I have to admit though, Richard.
Sorry?
Is that the book which puts you to sleep though?
It can certainly help with that if that's what you need. It's actually a very engaging, entertaining read. And those of you that aren't completely up to speed on the current science and thinking around sleep, that can really bring you bang up to date around its importance. So thank you for bringing that one up. And of course, if we're going to focus on our performance, that's what we're going to choose to focus on. high quality sleep will play a huge part of that. But I was about to say that I work one-to-one with clients. At the moment, it's all like we are now, Brendan, filming ourselves online, and that clients so far have responded very positively to it. And my industry is certainly going to be shaken up by the time we get out of COVID-19. I'm curious to see how many clients will actually favour this method of consultation. But in terms of choosing what to focus on, remember that's what we're kind of looking at today. I had a client earlier on today whom is 12 months into a new business. It's not property, but closely related. And he had a comment made to him by his partner. And it was around well, what are you actually doing? How much money are you actually making? When are we actually going to be able to survive off of this? And his reaction to that, what he chose to focus on, remember, was feelings of inadequacy. And we spoke around how the tiny little comment really, and it was only in a passing moment, they were literally walking past each other on the stairs, a quick little conversation, and she just said a few things to him, which triggered him. And he had these feelings of inadequacy, these feelings like, I might not be able to do this. How am I going to get through this? Now, these are what we call problem. Oh, excuse me for a sec.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese?
That's a video that we had included on Monday, Brendan. If you remember it, we won't bother listening to that today.
I thought it was from my side, so I was thinking, where's it coming from?
Yeah, well, you did the same thing on Monday. Where's that coming from? I was actually trying to play the video, which was funny. But let's just go back to my client here this morning. He was creating problems in his own mind. He was choosing to focus on all the negative aspects. It's really easy and natural for us to do this. We call it sometimes catastrophizing or all or nothing thinking. Or shoulding all over ourselves, or masturbating. That's when we deal in shoulds and musts. Well, I must be doing this. I should be at this stage by now in my business, rather than problem solve. Now that literally is a choice. We can choose in any moment how we respond. Attitude ultimately is everything. And the work that we did this morning was actually just to recalibrate perspective, recalibrate perception. And I very simply asked the question, what would be a more useful way to respond for you in that moment? We looked at how he had chosen to respond, which is to feel inadequate, which is to feel like he's not good enough. What's a better way? Actually, a better way is what she's just said to me is actually a barometer, a litmus test, a little pointer that I need to work on something, that I've got a problem to solve. And what a better response to actually choose to get to work. This has just happened. I've had an emotional reaction to it. I don't like it. Do I want to sit and catastrophize and deal in shoulds and musts? Or do I want to get to work? And do I want to start problem solving? So when we start to consider this, it all boils down to your attitude. What attitude do you take? What is your main challenge right now? And how are you choosing to respond? When I asked you earlier on, Brendan, what are the sort of current challenges? I mean, most people are dealing with a complete unprecedented change to life. Some of us are working, some of us are furloughed, some of us are out of work. But ultimately, we can choose how we respond to this and what is going to be the most useful way of doing that. It's effectively getting out of our limbic system and into our prefrontal cortex. Any idea what that might mean? Limbic system. I don't know if you've read the book The Chimp Paradox.
That's by Steve. I can't remember his surname, but he's very famous. So
that's right. A fantastic book.
So he's one of the coaches for Ronnie O'Sullivan, for example. I think he was the coach for the cycling team as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that still doesn't answer your
fantastic
question.
read, which I'd put right up there with Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Now, he delved a lot into the hardwiring of our brain. We have this animal instinctive brain right at the forefront of our evolution that we share with all the other animals. That's our limbic system. That's the animal center. That's where our gut instinct comes from, our reactions. A tiger jumps in through your bedroom window. It's your limbic system that's going to get you out of the room in seconds. But we've also got a further evolutionary adaptation, which is our prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the front of our mind where all our thinking happens. That's where we get creative. That's where we problem solve. The issue that we have when we're dealing with issues, when we're dealing with challenges, and right now, perhaps business owners, property developers and investors, and everyone in the property spaces that watch your channels, Brendan, there's going to be real question marks at the moment, real uncertainty. What part of your brain are you using? Are you feeling it physiologically in your body? If you are, it's likely that you're incorporating your limbic system. If you're getting a gut feeling and butterflies in your tummy, these physiological reactions, which we've discussed on other videos, are you actually, though, able to step out of your mind and look at things objectively? That's using your prefrontal cortex. Another thing just to consider, and this will be the sort of final part of what I was going to share with you today, Brendan, is a concept of being your own hero. Now, what that means, hero is actually broken out. It should have some full stops after each letter. Like everyone in the psychology world and the coaching world, we love these words that actually have deeper meaning. So H stands for hope. How hopeful are you in the future? Are you choosing to be hopeful right now? Or are you choosing actually to allow the current environment to have an effect on you? I think you put it quite neatly. Are you taking control, or are you letting other people take control? I think you said it earlier on, Brendan. How much hope do you have right now? If you don't have hope, what hope can you tap into? This is forward looking. What hope do you have for the future? E stands for efficacy. Efficacy is your ability to produce results. We've all got the ability to produce results. Are you producing them right now? Are you tapping into that aspect of your psychology that you need in order to get stuff done? And a choice and attitude can very much be the difference between whether you do or whether you don't. Our big buzzword in the coaching world, which is resilience, are we able to let things go? Let things go when we fail and when things get tough. And finally, O is optimism. Having a positive outlook. Attitude really is everything, and optimism plays a huge part of that. And can you choose to have an optimistic outlook right now? If you really challenge yourself, I have no doubt that you could. So that's all I was going to share with you, Brendan. Anything else?
No. So look, Richard, I'm delighted that you're going to be on the call on Friday, whether we're going to stream it on Facebook or YouTube, a bonus for our YouTube listeners today.
Yeah.
So Friday afternoon at 2:30, delighted that you're going to be on the call. It's an interesting panel, so it's quite diverse, to say the least. Paul Pinder, who's one of the partners at Ronald Fletcher Baker. If you read his LinkedIn profile, he talks about happiness. He's very big into the happiness ideology as well. So that's one of those who will be joining us on Friday afternoon at 2:30. And then, Richard, you're going to be with us on Monday morning. So it's the brunch session. So just after 10 o'clock in the morning. So how can people connect with yourself, what you're doing?
Yeah, so the easiest way to connect with me, I'll just reshare the last slide there, is get in touch via email.
So
the way
I was going to say for the listeners, so I'm going to share this one on podcast as well. So it should be episode 43, and r.thorpe@cognoscity.co.uk.
That's exactly it. COGNACITY. And I mean, I work predominantly in a one-to-one coaching capacity. I work with a lot of people in the property space. I work with a lot of people in the business and executive space, and of course, professional athletes and members of family offices. I offer, as most coaches do, a complimentary chemistry session where we just spend some time on a call or over Zoom or over Skype, whatever it might be, just to see whether there's a good fit and whether there's something that we might be able to do together. But it's, yeah, that's what I do, and that's what I do. And it'd be a pleasure to engage and connect with anyone that may feel that they would like to connect.
So massive thanks to those listeners on YouTube as well, whether you're listening live at a later time. Richard, just massive thanks to yourself. So I'm going to just stop the live stream just here.